Coach Gaglione here. This is a Meathead Monday tip. Today we're talking about stretching the hips for powerlifting. Got Nick Wheelz here. He's been having some issues with his squats coming off. He had a great competition performance. We're kind of getting ready for his next meet coming up this fall. And so we're just working on some mobility stuff. So just really quick, I want to provide some context for this. Stretching, mobility and stuff could be good or bad depending on the person, so it kind of depends on where you fall on the continuum. When you have guys like us that are bigger guys, we're kind of pushing some bigger weights, and if we're really focused on strength, a lot of times when we're only focused on really heavy weight, we tend to stiffen up, we tend to lose range of motion and things like that. And you want at least, at a minimum as a powerlifter, you want good range of motion that you can squat to a good standard, pain-free, you can get in a good deadlift start position pain-free, and you can get in a good bench arch pain-free. Once you kind of check those boxes off, you don't necessarily need to have, put your ankle above your head and things like that, okay? So there's gonna be a point, there might be some females or some really flexible, maybe lightweight males that maybe some of this stuff does not apply to. For those people, you might wanna focus a little bit more on stability and learning to stiffen up and tension up. But again, for the majority of the people probably watching this, for the bigger guys out there, for the really avid powerlifter that doesn't really do a lot of mobility work, I know if you're like me or like Nick, we just want to get under the bar, we want to get under the heavy weight, we want to just go. So this stuff can be used as a movement preparation if you're feeling really stiff, but this also can be used on an off day just to kind of maintain some range of motion and help enhance recovery a little bit. If you add in some deep breathing and do this as a cool down or do this on an off day, one of the things we've been doing here is just some powerlifting specific kind of yoga stuff. Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. So if you guys are in the area, you can shoot me an email at gaglionestrength@gmail.com. If you're in the Long Island area and you want to check that out, you can learn a lot more stuff about the mobility. So a couple of boxes that we're going to check off when we're focused on mobility. We want to open up the upper back, thoracic spine. So we want to open up all this stuff in here, help kind of open up the chest a little bit. We want to help open up the hips. So things like hip extension, external rotation, abduction. So stretching, opening up the groin, opening up the hip flexors. So when we say like opening up, we're just kind of we want kind of full access to a full range of motion of the hip joint, of the upper back, and then the last would be the ankles. So dorsiflexion, the ability to kind of pull your toe toward your shin. Dorsiflexion is super important, especially if you're a conventional deadlifter, if you're a flat-footed bencher, and if you are definitely a deep squatter for sure, and obviously the more narrow squat is going to be important. If you're a sumo deadlifter, having more external rotation, or a wide stance squatter, having more external rotation of the hip, and really making sure the groin and the adductors, the inner thigh, have a full range of motion is going to be really important, okay? So we can kind of argue, like, are we actually increasing mobility? Are we just affecting the nervous system? Regardless, this stuff we have found, in my experience, has helped myself and our lifters. So I'm going to go through a really quick some drills today. I know Nick went through this warm-up today, and these squats felt pretty good, he said. So I think that's like kind of, if it makes you feel better, it allows you to we had a real productive training session today, just to kind of start the training block. So that's why we want to share this with you today. So you guys can follow along, or you can feel free to bookmark this page and use it as a reference, again, whether it's a warm-up, a cool-down on an off day, a couple of different options. So we're going to start with half kneeling position. And I'm just going to walk Nick through these drills here, okay? So a couple of things. This is a 90-90 position, so we want the shoulders, the hips, and the knees in a straight line. Okay, we want the knee in line with this ankle, so you can actually turn this out a little bit. Foot up a little bit. So we want the knee in line with the ankle. Hips are like headlights, always facing forwards. We want the rib cage stacked over the pelvis. A lot of times you'll see people, they overarch the back, okay? They're in the anterior tilt, or they're slumped forward in too much of a posterior tilt. We want to try and get as neutral spine as possible. Again, some people talk about semantics. Rib cage stacked over pelvis, nice long spine, just for reference, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to squeeze that back glute, okay? So in this case, we do this one. We're going to raise the arms up overhead. And what we're doing here, besides getting a little range of motion at the shoulders, we're just kind of opening up the front of the hip a little bit. You're going to see a lot of people that tend to drive forward and then arch the back. That's really not accomplishing the goal. We want to look at hip extension here. So there's a couple of things that we could do. We can kind of get a little lean here. you get a little twist, but in general for this, the standard hip flexor stretch is great for hip extension. If you have trouble locking out your deadlifts, trouble standing up on a squat, getting your bench arch, opening up that anterior hip is going to be really important. You can use those. So right now he's tensing up a lot, so I want you to take a deep breath and exhale and just relax and try and. So using some diaphragmatic breath, some belly breathing can be helpful in here, just to relax a little bit more. You want big toe, little toe, and heel, good tripod foot in contact with the ground at all times. Knee tracking the foot. We're going to take another deep breath here. We're going to exhale and start with our fingertips to the ground. This might be fine for some people, and some people that are more flexible could potentially do a little bit more. So Nick's a little bit round in his back here, so we want to pull the chest up a little bit more. Now, if you're a little bit more flexible, you might be able to get your knuckles to the ground. You might be able to get your, maybe the first part of your knuckles, you might be able to get your palms to the ground. If you're like our yoga teacher, Emily, she can get our forearms to the ground. You know, go for a range of motion that's important. So what we're doing here, we're opening up the groin a little bit on this side when we go into a little bit of more hip flexion, which again is going to be important for sumo deadlifting and wide stance and medium stance squatting. So as he starts to take another deep breath, if he wants to go, like you see now, he was one from his fingertips to his knuckles. So he's increasing the range of motion as he's relaxing a little bit more, trying to keep the spine as long as possible, lifting the chest up, not arching the back, not rounding the back too much. So again, Nick is struggling a little bit here in this position, so it's something we work on. You don't need to be perfect day one. It's something that you work towards improving. So from here, there's a couple of different ways we could do this. We could grab the ankle itself, and we do some ankle rocking here. So when we're doing ankle rocking, we want contact with the heel, the little toe, and the big toe. So we're working on dorsiflexion, stretching the ankle. Help us get into that position for the deep squats. So if we kind of focus on this leg, this would be kind of a similar position that you'd be into like a deep squat position. Now from here, you can kind of continue to stretch the hips, and now we're going to involve the upper back a little bit as well. So we're going to bring the hands to the ground. The back knee is going to come up. Take a deep breath, and we're going to rotate up with this inside arm. So we're getting a T-spine rotation and extension here. So we're going to upper back position as well. You can take a couple of deep breaths here, really own that position. And for some of you guys at home that maybe are trying this might be, really start to get the heart rate up, really start to get a good sweat going, so it could be great for a warm-up as well. So we're going to come back to the center, hang out for here for a little bit, come back down. There's a lot of different stuff that we could do from here, but that's kind of like the major kind of meat and potatoes. So now we're going to also talk about stretching the external rotators a bit, okay? So I'm going to take a deep breath in. And exhale, and then come back to the starting point. So arms to the ceiling. Okay, now from here we're going to get into what's called a pigeon pose, which is going to be an external rotator stretch. Okay, so especially if you get some lower back tightness and things like that, a lot of times this can alleviate that. So we're going to swing this leg around back. And we want to try and keep the pelvis as square as we can. So again, we're in this figure 4 position here. Pelvis as square as possible. Again, makes a little bit round here. We want to try and minimize that as much as possible. So he can start from his fingertips, he can go to his palms, he can bring his forearms to the floor. There's a lot of different variations. So we can hang out here and take a couple of breaths. Some common mistakes you can see is the hips not being square to the floor, kind of falling out to the side. Nick's doing a pretty good job of keeping the hips pretty square to the ground. From here, you can kind of raise up and just bring this butt cheek to the ground and sit tall this time. So we're going to get our shin box now. So let's. So he can sit here for the flow, but just for the sake of the video, we're going to face the camera. And you can just sit there. So this is challenging for Nick, but essentially what you want to do is make a figure 4. So this is called a shin box. So we're starting in this position, so kind of ankle and knees are kind of in line. For a lot of people, like Nick right now, he's using his hands to support his body, and that's totally fine. As you get more comfortable, you want to be able to just raise out in front. And we can do some hip extensions over here. So you can see Nick's a little bit tilted, I'm a little bit tilted, it's not perfect. We want to try and keep the pelvis level with the ground. and the rib cage stacked over the pelvis. And we're going to extend up again. So level 1 would just be use your arms to raise up and then come back. And then we'll sit down into that hip slowly. And then level 2 would be just keeping the arms out. Like that. So we just get nice and tall, sitting into this glute here. Great sumo deadlift prep, great wide stance squatting prep. Let's do one more. Come up. And then we're going to swing that leg back around. Good. Okay. So that would finish the sequence of the first leg. We're just going to go through the other leg a little bit faster just because we did a lot of talking, so we're going to switch sides at this point. And then we can show this from a different angle, so you can see a different angle this time, so we can face this way. So let's just turn that a little bit more. So just so you can see from a different angle. Deep breath. Exhale, so reaching through. Again, the string is elongating the spine, elongating his body. We got a 90-90 position here. You can lean a little bit. You can do a little twist if you'd like. And we can just stay here too. And depending on where your problem areas are, you can spend more or less time in the area of your choice. Depending on if you're using it as a warm-up. If you're using it as a warm-up, you can kind of go through this a little bit quicker, a little bit more intensely. If you're using it as a cool-down, I would take your time and just really focus on your breathing. So deep breath in, exhale, arms to the ground. So again, you can see Nick's not perfect, that's okay. He's not in a perfectly neutral spine position. He's got a little rounding here. It's something he's going to work on. It's totally okay. As he starts to get more comfortable, again, we're going on some extension here. We can go into the ankle rocking drill. So we're working on a dorsiflexion, again, big toe, little toe, heel, in good contact with the ground. Once we go there, we come back to the ground, hang out here for a little bit, and the back knee's going to come up. This time we're going to rotate up toward the ceiling. Take a couple breaths. So again, we're going to T-spine extension and rotation. And back down. Back down. Arms overhead. Good. Just for the camera sake, let's just actually face that way, same leg. And we're going to swing back around. So we're taking that ankle, swinging around to that pigeon. Hang here for a little bit. Let's get the arms. So keep walking around so we're square. Good. And relax. You can go right, fall right into your shin box. You might find one side a little bit tighter than the other. That's totally fine. So let's keep the arms out in front, do the best you can. And again, so there's some things that Nick can be working on, but he's going to continue to work on this sequence and get a little bit better each time. And I'm very confident, like I said, Nick was very, very close to locking out an 800-pound deadlift last meet. He was very successful with 750. I think these little things, again, in a little better starting position, are going to be a huge game changer in his next competition to allow him to hit even more PRs in the future. It's the little things over a long period of time that make the biggest difference, and something like mobility and movement preparation can be very important. So that last one, we're going to swing back to the center. And stand tall. And you can stand up from there, that's good. How do you feel?
Pretty good.
Too shabby?
Yeah.
All right, so again, Nick's a very accomplished lifter. He's been doing really well on our program. Sometimes these are the things that are maybe not like the most sexy or the most interesting are the things that are going to make the biggest difference in the long run. And we always say that, again, it's, you know, if you're really strong and injured, it doesn't really do you any good. So you want to be healthy so you can express your strength the best way possible. These are some little things to kind of help keep you going, keep the body moving efficiently, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, guys. If you like the video, please subscribe. If this particular video helped you, please share it. Give us, shoot us a message if this sequence helped you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.